Hello, everyone, and welcome to another iWorkinSport live interview. Oh, let me take it's a live TV, so sound off on the phone. So it is streaming. It's great to see already some people connecting. This is the show where we bring accomplished sport business professionals to share with you their knowledge, their experience, their tips and advice to help you progress in your career. Today we have a super special guest, a guy that I've been following since when I started my career in sports some 15 years ago. And but just before we get to that, let me introduce myself, since maybe it's your first time here. My name is João Frigerio. I am the founder of iWorkinSport. And as you could see in the short ad that you saw before, we organize a few events focused in career and education in sport. So the one that is coming up very soon I hope this is here. Yeah, it's here on the 10th and to the 12th of November is the Education Virtual Expo. So we'll be hosting some of the best programs in sports management in the world. So we have programs from Europe, from India, from a couple from the US already confirmed. So if you're interested in it, the link is in the description. So go to that. And we'll be having more shows, and we'll be talking specifically about that, especially in the next week. We have, it will be a full week of lives. There is 4 programs. We'll have 4 lives with 4 programs. It's at the Meet the Programs. It's a prelude to the event. So go there if you're interested in it. Now, let me go back to the interview today. That's why we're here for. I have a super special guest, Frank Leenders, Director General for FIBA Media and Marketing Services. As I said, I've been following Frank for a while. I'm a big fan of his work. We were talking before, he started his career at ISL. We talked with Michael Payne a few weeks ago here. He was there at the beginning too. Frank joined a little later and actually started his career at the World Cup in Italy. Then he joined Team Marketing. This will be a super cool story to tell. He was part of the team that was building and creating the UEFA Champions League since from the first edition, which wasn't even UEFA Champions League, he told me. It was just the Champions League then. He held various positions there, including head of television, moved to Italy for a short stint at Sky Italia as their director of sports rights acquisition, then went back to Team as a managing director, left again, created his own company, started working with FIBA, and now serves as the general director at the FIBA Media and Marketing Services. Of course, he will tell you in more details all that. Was just a quick introduction. I hope I did it well. Let me invite Frank right after this. Hello, Frank. Here we are. Thank you for being here.
Hi, João. Good evening to all, and look forward to a great session.
Cool. Let me already tell you, there's a number of people already leaving messages here from all over. We have Joe P. from Lausanne. Hello, Zarefis. Oh, it seems like a great name. In Amsterdam, really interested in basketball and media. Barnabas, hey, Barnabas, nice to see you here. You've been doing a great job with us. He's been helping us with our social media. Hello, Igor from Trieste. Nuno from Portugal. Who else is there? Coach Abdul from South Africa.
Wow.
So there's people from all over with us now. Georgios from Greece as well. Oh, my dear friend Renata Hot here in Lausanne, Brazilian. Jaume from Barcelona. Yes, and there's a few more, by the way, don't forget to, if you have questions about media, about career, also leave there in the comments and we're going to talk about those. So there's a lot of people writing down. So James and Matthias, thank you so much for watching. Frank, so good to have you here.
The pleasure is mine. I hope you're filtering only the nice messages through, on the screen.
There's many coming, and please keep them coming. And whenever questions arise, we'll try to address them as well. With Frank, we here, of course, we try to focus on the career aspects of sports. You have a long career. I gave a very short brief at the introduction. We're going to talk about that sort of more details, because there's definitely a lot to learn from your steps, your career. But let's talk a little bit quickly about basketball and about COVID-19. Just to start with a soft topic, but the truth is that the NBA has just finished, I think, sort of a week ago, and they were an excellent example of how to handle that. They had a very successful the NBA bubble with no cases, and apart from that, in basketball, in other sports, we saw Formula One having to do something completely different as well. Not only totally rescheduling the championship, but they also relied a lot on social media and digital engagements, creating an e-Grand Prix. Cycling also did something similar. Can you tell us about how did basketball in general, FIBA and the rest of basketball family, let's say, handled or faced COVID during this time?
Well, let me start with saying that 2020 is a very tough year for the world of sports, also for the world of basketball, and in our case, actually, it started already bad before COVID, because we lost an icon and an ambassador, Kobe Bryant, at the end of January. We lost our long-standing Secretary General, Mr. Stankovic. We lost David Stern, the legendary commissioner of the NBA, even before COVID came into the game. And it's been a very tough year. It is, I think, specifically also a very tough year for leagues across the globe. Very unpredictable. You mentioned the NBA. They have been remarkable in playing in Disneyland, but that comes with a lot of sacrifice and cost. From a FIBA point of view, I can say, luckily, it is the year after our World Cup in China, where we actually, we played in 8 incredible cities, including Wuhan, which became known later also for other things. But it was the year after the Olympics. We played some competitions, qualifiers in January, early February. So, knock on wood, we have not been that affected with FIBA competitions, but of course the shift of the Olympic Games to next year has a lot of impact on calendars and adjustments, and a lot of dealings with not only national federations, but in my case also with our partners, our sponsor partners, our broadcast partners, to facilitate that to happen. And as we speak today, on the 22nd of October, we still don't know exactly what's going to happen over the next 6 to 12 months. So this invisible enemy is causing a lot of issues for sports, certainly international sports, which depends on travel.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think not many people really know what to expect, and it's important to be able to adapt as much as possible. So, okay, this is definitely a topic that is eminent. but moving to a lighter side, I'd like to talk more about your career. As I said, I met you, I think, for the first time when I was an intern at SportCal, working with Mike Laughlin, and then been following your work since then. We have friends in common. One of my colleagues that we mentioned in a conversation yesterday, Roger Lodwick, also worked at team marketing for a long time with you, and then there's many others, my classmates as well, Tiziano, and others. But tell us, I gave a brief, summary of your career, but let's dive into that a little more. And also, why did you actually start working in sports? That's not what you studied before, right? You were in St. Gallen. What took you to that path? And tell us a little bit how it developed.
Well, Joao, as always in life, there's a lot of sliding doors, no? And which at the end of the day determine the path that you follow or that you can follow. And that's maybe also for the group that is watching and listening today. I think is to keep that in mind. And actually, you mentioned internship. And as a break into the sports industry, and that was for me in 1990. And actually, as you can see a little bit behind me, there's a lot of memorabilia. So in order to lighten it a little bit up, I took a few of them, and this was Italy 90, 30 years ago.
Can you show us? Can you show us again?
I can. This was the famous Ciao logo in 1990. And what I wanted to say is, I was a student in St. Gallen. I had the opportunity to do an internship. I spent 6 months in 1990 with the company ISL Marketing, which has been the root, or the how shall I say, the birthplace for many good things and many careers in sports. And what I wanted to say also for the group is, if you have an internship, and that's my experience, and you put your energy, your interest, you open your eyes, you open your ears, but specifically also you try to make yourself useful and to do all the also dirty jobs that nobody else wants to do, but you are, you're showing the right attitude, then you have always the chance that people ask you back on the team. And so for me, that opportunity in 90 was then followed by the fact that the two people that were leading ISL at the time, on behalf of the Dassler family, the Adidas family, two Germans, Klaus Hempel and Jürgen Lenz, then left ISL not long after the World Cup in Italy in 1991, started their own little company in the hotel in Lucerne across the lake, started what is now known as team marketing, and we're looking at different projects. And one of these projects, because it was not even the project, was the European Champion Clubs Cup. The Champions League did not exist. It was a knockout competition. And they had a concept with the Champions League, which was about a group phase competition. It was a competition concept. It was a branding concept with the Champions League. It was a commercial concept, which was based on broadcast partners. It was based on sponsors, which were integrated into that mix with not only traditional sponsorship rights, but also media rights and broadcast sponsorship and advertising with these broadcasters. And this now, as we are more than 25 years later, it looks like it's never been without the Champions League, but it was until that year. And now, of course, the incredible thing is that the Champions League still exists, the music still exists, the logo still exists, and actually now in many other parts of the business, people refer to as the highest level. Like, we want to be playing in the Champions League of the pharmaceutical industry, or we want to be in the Champions League of hospitality, or whatever. And of course, that's an incredible, again, break. That's another sliding door to have the opportunity to be part of that venture, which, at that time in the first season was, 2 groups of 4 teams, 24 matches, and a financial guarantee to UEFA of somewhere around 70 million Swiss francs, so 70. And now it is billions of Swiss francs per year. So that was an opportunity. And as I told you, actually, in the beginning, this was the logo. This was the Champions League logo, and the UEFA with the arch has come in a second phase.
Yeah, that came later. No, that's super interesting. So from there you moved. You had so you stayed with team for a while. You went for, I think, a year to Italy, and then you decided to go and do your own thing, your own consultancy, and that's what led you to FIBA, where you are now.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I would still say the Champions League has been quite a red line, because we talked 92 to 2010 in the end. And as you say, I interrupted that pathway. I mean, I learned an enormous amount in the team days, because it was very multifunctional. So you worked on a functional area like sponsorship or broadcasting, but you were also intrinsically involved in the event management. So all the people that worked there also were working at venues and were implementing events, which meant you had a very 360 view of what was going on. But it's a bit the same. I progressed. I had then, I did my university in St. Gallen. I did an MBA at Sdabocconi in Milano, which because you did part of your FIFA master there. And I had a spell with, which you mentioned at the intro, which is now called Sky Italia, but it was then Stream. That was one of the 2 players. Maybe I'll come to it later when I explain a more difficult moment in my career, if you ask that, where you can also learn a lot, which was certainly there. But I think the experience is always, and it comes back to the internship. If you if you really are constructive and contributing, and you try to always, also when you leave, to leave through the front door of the house if you can, then there's always an opportunity to come back through the front door. And that's what happened a few times with me and Tim.
Yeah, leaving the door open is definitely an important lesson. Now you are at FIBA as the Director General of the FIBA Media and Marketing Services. That's, if I'm not wrong, it's a separate company to FIBA, fully owned. It's a subsidiary. Can you just explain a little of what the business is, and then explain to the audience then what you do? What's your sort of main role, and what's the purpose of the company?
Yeah, no, I happily do that, João. So basically, we just to quickly make the connection, we left, myself and my business partner Thomas Klotz, we left team in 2010. We started doing some projects, and one of them was, we got a call from FIBA, from the late Patrick Baumann, an incredible sports leader that we lost much too early. And he said, listen, can we have a conversation? Can you help us with some projects? So we did some consultancy projects with the calendar, with the NBA, with the World Cup. And one thing led to the other, as you indicate, and as he said, okay, what do we do with our commercial operations? How do we move that forward? And actually, FIBA had an in-house structure, which was a little bit also the result of the fact that the ISL that I talked about before, in different hands later on, was forced to give up rights, or that didn't go the way it should. And, rights holders like UEFA and FIFA that worked with them all had that effect, but also FIBA. And FIBA had an in-house team which was working extremely successfully over the years and brought good progress. And then when in 2011, 2012, when we sat down also with Patrick and the other people in the team there, we looked at other models, and actually the conclusion was that very often people and rights holders look at the model: do I do it in-house or do I work with an agency? And based on the specifics of FIBA, we said, listen, you have a good basis internally. The agency is not gonna bring you the result for a number of reasons, but there is a way to accelerate internally with a different structure, with also a bit of a separation between the sports development and the political side and the business side, which we saw also then afterwards for other reasons can be quite a healthy split, so to say. And then we created that separate unit, 100% owned by FIBA, and that setup also has given us the opportunity to strike some other partnerships, which we have done in late 2016 with the Perform the Zone group on FIBA Media and with the Wanda Infront group on FIBA Marketing. And basically those partnerships plus the overall let's say business development and commercial strategy, that is in a very essential nutshell what we run with a very small group, but with very I would say strong teams in both FIBA Media and FIBA Marketing.
Yeah, on that, and you mentioned the partnership with Wanda Infront. We had already a question from Renata asking you exactly about that. So do you believe that federation should be partially commercial, not to be lost in the politics of the development side of sport?
Well, again, just to say, I mean, basically the FIBA Media partnership with DAZN Perform is a long-term partnership for the broadcast media rights, and the one with Infront and Wanda, or Infront and their owners, the Wanda Group, is for the marketing side. I mean, the thing here is that the partnerships are long-term. So there is an incentive also for these partners to invest and not just to have short-term creaming off and not invest in the property longer term. And that's what we needed. It gives FIBA not only the certainty of having some financial basis every year, because this is a lifeline of FIBA, which is very important. This is not just another thing for FIBA. I mean, maybe some other investors can have a portfolio and one thing doesn't go very well. It's okay. Here, FIBA cannot risk. So it gives FIBA certainty, but also, the progress, the upside of growing it. And what is important is that the rights remain with FIBA. So FIBA signs the contract. FIBA is the commercial party, and it is not giving up the control to third parties, to Infront, to Perform. Maybe to answer Renata's question, if I understand it correctly, is we believe that it is healthy to have a commercial process where we have a steering committee, we set a strategy, we go to market, we review the opportunities in the market, we review the deals on a business-like manner, and then, of course, when that is done, it will go for execution to the Secretary General of FIBA, of course, who's in charge of this. Right. That ultimately, but what it helps with practically is that there is not, there's always in a way, but there's not really an opportunity for some political forces to take influence on the commercial decisions. And it's also giving the sports and political side of FIBA the opportunity, when questions come about business, to say talk to Frank and the team, and let they deal with that, and they have a process and they follow that process.
Great. Well, that's definitely super important. How big then is the team, your team there, the media marketing?
No, the central team is literally myself, Thomas, and two more people. That is the core.
You have a team of employees that is under that company, separate than FIBA, or is that FIBA employees that actually work for you?
No, that is separately, but this is really integrated. We work very closely with the finance team, with the legal team, with the digital team, with the communications team, with the sports team, and so on. The thing is that the real resources, if you want, the bigger teams are in FIBA Media, and there with external people on production, you easily talk about 30, 40, and at big events, sometimes hundreds of people that you need to produce, to act as a host broadcaster, for instance, and to have offices in different places of the world, and you can tap into the resources that are there when you need them. We don't need 500 people in FIBA all the time about media, but if you need people, you can tap into them. And on the marketing side, it is a bit different, but it's not this. We are around, let's say, 20 people, but that used to be much smaller when it was in the organization itself. And now we have a salesperson in the US. We have a salesperson in Beijing. We have resources on the ground in all continents. So that is giving us much more firepower to work with.
Great. So Frank, if you do a self-assessment of your career, what you think are your skills or your attributes that actually took you where you are, sort of in your position? This is something that anyone, I think, should be able sort of to reflect. They need to know where they're going to go, so they kind of need to work in skills and some particular things to sort of to progress. Do you have a good sense of what are the main skills that helped you get where you are? If you need, no, go on.
Yeah, no, it's difficult to say that of yourself, but I definitely believe that you must have a lot of energy and intrinsic motivation to push forward. I mean, nothing happens, by default. There's it's let's be honest, it's a privilege to work in sports. I mean, still today, after all these years, I love it. But obviously, there are also mornings where you don't wake up and jump out of your bed and say, "Wow, this is when there's tough moments," and you need to have that determination to do that, and also to be able to convey that energy on the people that work with you or the people that you want to sell to. And I always think that in many cases, the underrated skill, if you want, is the ability to sell. And I think that actually in many jobs, the essential, even people that are not having salesman on, salesperson on their business card, essential skill is the ability to sell and to close a sale, because there's also I have a lot of ideas, and then the good ideas are the only ones that you really can make come to fruition. And I always say, without sales, there is no petrol in the engine. I mean, there's in a lot of organizations, of course, after sales service, creativity, event management. I mean, good product is all super important, but sales is what makes the world go round in that sense.
Right. And is that sort of the exact sort of same attributes or skills that you look for in someone when you're hiring as well, or there are a few sort of specific things that you always look at whenever you're selecting someone's work with you?
It's a good question. Obviously, it depends also on which role you're recruiting for. It's different for, let's say, the salesperson that I just mentioned, or the financial controller. I mean, you look for you cannot only have creative people. You need also people that make things come to fruition. But honestly speaking, in most cases, I look at the person, at the character, at the energy, even much more than at the detail of the skill set. Because I believe if you have that motivation, if you are really motivated and hungry, a lot of the experience you can develop and things you can learn. But personally, I look at the and I specifically look for people that when they come, they try to think of solutions.
Right.
I mean, it's not good enough to have people that can identify all the problems.
Yes.
I mean, you want people to it sounds a bit cheesy, think positive, but you want people that come with ideas or with a solution, and that will get it done. They will come back to it and say, listen, I have the solution, and not just are super at identifying all the issues.
Well, yeah, definitely. I 100%. What I find is that there's some type of people that actually focus on the problem, and then they identify the problem and then keep banging on why things don't work. And I think it's super important to be able to, you identify the problem, put that aside, and focus your energies on finding the solution. Listen, this is there's a lot of comments and questions coming. So just to give you a sense, I think this is the most commented live in.
Oh my God,
that I've
I'm in trouble.
So no, just to give you a sense, because those are kind of old from the beginning. So just to show you that we have Hakim watching in Casablanca. Hello, Hakim. Nice to meet you. Emiliano in Mexico. Ana in Colombia. Kevin from
Kevin, of course,
in New York. Oh, so you know Kevin?
Yes, of course.
Hi, Kevin. Nice to meet you.
We normally meet in China, in Xi'an, in conferences, but he's.
That's the great thing about sport, the places where we meet. So Gerardo in Argentina, maybe you know some of them. Fran in Dublin. There is a few more. Anyway, and then there's some questions coming. Please keep commenting. I will get to your questions. Maybe we won't have time for all of them, but I'll look at it. Talking about, oops, let me just, who is that? Someone clicked here. Oh, here. Sorry, Fran.
I'm specifically pleased to see a lot of new faces as well. That's nice. And
yes, exactly. This is.
I think I think anything in the iWorkinSport that you can pick up to see your opportunity in a career is very valuable, I think.
Yeah, well, definitely. Thank you, Frank. Now, talking about education, so you mentioned sort of the masters that I did, and I've been working with many others, some from the Netherlands as well. We work with the Johan Cruyff, with the ASTS here, of course, the FIFA Masters, ASPS in Spain, and a few others. And people always ask me, so what is the importance of a degree in sport? So I know it's a tricky question, and maybe the piece of paper in itself is not really the most important thing. Maybe what you make out of the experience will be the best thing of the course. But again, also in a position or when you're hiring, sort of what's the importance, or how do you see masters in sports, or even like formal education, taking someone that invested a year of their life and invested money and to prepare to come and work in that industry?
Yeah, no, I think it's extremely valuable, and if you have the time in your life to do it and the ability, of course, also resource-wise, it's always worth. I mean, I explained to you, I was working in team, a super exciting job in a great company. And still, at that, there was a window. I decided to do an MBA program. People say, "Why do you do this?" I mean, you can because you could take a break, you can further your career, you could make money and whatever. I think in the longer run, the education always pays off. That is my feeling. I mean, always, of course, when you also select something that fits you and that works for you. I would say my university time, so I was in St. Gallen, has given a general very strong basis in business administration, but more than that, in law, in economics, and very often people understand, yeah, why did I do what do I do with that now? No, I mean, in Holland, in my school, I studied Latin and Greek. What do I do with it now? No, but it still has given me the opportunity to learn also, structure systems, and it's my general education. I would say the master program was the bridge for me, which was very interesting, because actually I realized also, as a guy coming out of St. Gallen, working into a company, actually very little about how the world works, and especially the human aspect, how you deal with people from different cultures, on different sides, how to work with that. That was really my learning phase at the beginning, because theoretically you may know a lot of concepts, but the world with between human beings is very different. And also working in the Champions League, and one day dealing with a sponsorship director of Heineken maybe, but the next week with a truck driver at the venue, putting up the signage along the field in the rain, and having issues to resolve. That shows you how to deal with people. And the MBA program for me, with a group of people and also a lot of group work, underline that, because you learn some business concept, but you also learn how to get things done with diverse group of people. And I'm sure you had the same in your FIFA master. I'm sure you had great times with colleagues where you got along, but I'm sure there was also people in that group that you hated to do group work with. I mean, that was at least my experience. And everybody said, "Oh, you're in the group with that guy, terrible," but you need to produce a result and deliver a case study or something like this. And so, to come back to your question, I think those elements are there for life in your work, but also in your general culture and education.
Great. There's a few more sort of questions also coming from the audience. There's Coach Abdul in South Africa. There's Jess Runderhof. I'm going to just go to those very quickly. Just to continue on that topic, I'm going to ask you about the changing of the media rights landscape, because I think everyone that is thinking to come and start and work in sport will need to be attentive to that, because what we go and learn in the courses, the classes that I had sort of before, teaching how to package sponsorship has changed. There's a lot of digital in the package now, and also media rights that for some sports is the biggest package where they come from. Is changing as well. I'm going to ask you about that in a second. It's just that on the education part, Coach Abdul, I think from Cape Town, is asking you for a general advice to starting a career in sports. So he's doing sports management at the University of Cape Town. And if you were to give one advice for someone that is about to graduate, is there one that you can think of?
Well, I mean, I think this is probably the most difficult question, because if I understand it correctly, is asking, how can I get that opportunity? How can I get a break into that industry where a lot of people want to be in? I mean, we know that, and I would certainly advise already people during their education, if you can, to try and open some doors and get that opportunity for like an internship.
You mentioned internship. What about voluntary work? Because there
Same.
are two types of internships. There are some that are paid, some that are not.
Yeah, but Joao, you when you take all the people in our industry, and maybe that's something once you can do a research on how did you get in initially, and then from there you progress. I think a lot of it is about examples like us with internships or voluntary work. I mean, you talked about our friend Roger Lodewijk. I mean, he was in the Champions League games in Holland, a local driver. And same story here. You get in touch, you develop, you get an opportunity, and you take that opportunity. Now that's easier said than done. I'm not saying that always works, but that's what I would recommend. Basically, in line with what you say, Joao. Take somewhere an opportunity to show that you can add value, and that, like the good old days in school playing soccer on the in the breaks, that to be one of the people that people want to pick on their team, because or pick first, because they get things done.
Cool. Good advice. So I'm going to ask you about the media rights changing landscape. Basically, I'm wondering, how will basketball, for instance, be consumed in 10 years from now, 2030? There's all the OTT platforms. The consumer behavior is changing so much. So also the ways you guys are probably selling your rights are going to change as well. Can you give us a sense? Of course, it's very hard to predict the exact future, but just to share some trends of what is changing for people entering in the market.
I mean, we could fill a whole afternoon on that topic easily, if not a day or two. But
well, let's book another one.
No, but I think there are a lot of trends, and there are a lot of unknowns. I would say more on the technological side. I personally still believe in a future with with AR, VR. A completely different experience. I still believe that the two of us sitting in different cities on a rainy Sunday afternoon can say, "Wow, let's go and let's go to Madison Square Garden and watch a game together." And with an experience of VR, we are there. We are in LA next to Jack Nicholson watching a match, and we're having a conversation. I still think. There's a lot of skeptical people, of course. We are not talking about Oculus, big glasses, and headache experiences, but that technology, I personally believe, is still there to come. Now, in terms of distribution, I think there's different models. Personally, I believe that the technology, direct to consumer, the buzzword OTT. Is a technology to consume. I don't believe that every single entity, every league, every rights holder in the world will be their own broadcaster in that sense. But I also believe that there will be much more of a tailor-made opportunity for you, different content than for me. A lot of AI, a lot of artificial intelligence, much more than now. It will be, there will be much more technology necessary to make sure that you get your preferred content proposed in the right way at the right time, which is different than mine. And at the moment, that is still in the very early days, I think.
Yeah, it's really super difficult to predict. Frank, let's talk about two very different moments in your career, and then I think after those two, I'm actually going to pass to the questions from the audience. There's one you can think of one already from Jesse that I'm going to put in the screen there. It's more about sponsorship. and he wants to know if it's possible to bundle school sports marketing properties together to try to get sponsorship for schools. Then he says, I'm trying to find ways for schools to generate revenue for sports program. He's in Cape Town. Think about that, and I'll ask you again. An easier one, because you've been to several Champions League finals and Olympic Games and all that, and met Kobe Bryant and met other big stars. So in your career, what's your most special moment?
I mean, as I told you, I'm a sports lover, and not only a basketball lover or a football lover, but I'm a sports lover. So, I mean, if I go back, I mean, I've been at a few Olympic Games, Atlanta, seeing Holland win a gold medal in volleyball, which has been, seen as a golden moment for the Netherlands, etc., etc. Of course, Champions League is some Champions League events. I mean, the Champions League final, the first one we organized, 95. Actually, I see if I have somewhere. Here I have it. I'm gonna dig in my archive. I mean, I don't know if this comes across. A picture of Patrick Kluivert signed, scoring the 1-0 in Vienna, the first Champions League final that we organized. So, as an Ajax fan, I have a bit of a special feeling to that, but it is more because it was the final we organized, which now was glamorous at the time, was very painful to do, because it completely set new standards. It was the first final we did. So Champions League, I have a lot, but you mentioned before, from a personal point of view of meeting someone that really leaves a trace and impresses you, I have to come back to this gentleman. Actually, you see here, this is the final in let me see, the final in China, and Kobe. We spent several days with Kobe there, and before that in Shenzhen at the draw. And it's impossible to transmit the charisma, the energy, the professionalism of that person. I mean, for me, somebody who has made an incredible career, has been extremely international, because we could speak in Italian together. I mean, he grew up as a small kid. His father was playing in Italy. Mm-hmm. He spoke English, Spanish, Italian, and had an amazing career, and was actually embarked on a career which could have been bigger. I mean, as a storyteller, as a publisher, as somebody who already won an Oscar. It's. I still get emotional when I speak about that. It's that moment. Also, in January, that will always for me be a moment where I will always remember where I was when I heard that news.
Yeah, difficult year, 2020. On the other side of your career, and we had a question actually coming from the audience, maybe the last live that we had, and we thought was super interesting, was actually to talk about maybe a failure or a setback, because our lives are not just roses, right? There's so many difficult moments, and there is one, and especially an important lesson that you might have learned that you'd like to share.
Yeah. It's a very good question, because I think from the challenges, it's actually more interesting also for yourself often, that you learn from that. And I would say for me, it was not one moment, but it's more a phase. It's around 2002, when, as I explained, I was in team marketing. You're in Switzerland, a very successful company, extremely well run, well managed. Everything in Swiss style happens in time, and very predictable. And then I was, I was recruited. I got a call from a headhunter to become the director of sports rights acquisitions in Rome for Stream, which was half owned by Telecom Italia and half owned by Murdoch. And of course, the ability to deal with all the sports rights and to go to Italy. My wife is Italian, so to have that opportunity was very attractive. And I went there and I had an incredible, great time in Rome, but the work was extremely challenging. I mean, they told me it's all going to be in English, don't worry, and whatever. And I hardly spoke Italian, and it wasn't. The management meetings were in Italian. But the more challenging thing was I was responsible to buy the sports rights. But it was, Stream and Telepiù, which is now together Sky Italia, and both were losing up to $1 million a day. And of course, this could not go on forever. So this was the time when there was talks about the merger, which wasn't allowed. Then it was the takeover of Telepiù, which was Vivendi, of Stream. That didn't materialize, and in the end, the opposite happened. But in the meantime, just to give you the picture, as responsible for the sports rights, I had the mandate that I couldn't buy any rights, but I couldn't lose any rights. Okay, so that is, to go to rights holders that you have been dealing with and say, let's have a discussion and whatever. I need to renew Wimbledon, but let's talk, let's see. And you couldn't commit to a new contract, but you should also not lose it to your competitor. In that whole environment, that has been a very, very challenging phase, but has also given me, has taught me a lot of lessons that I wouldn't have learned in the beautiful Swiss oiled machine.
Yeah. Well, it's always an experience where you definitely learn from. So we're going to jump to that question I told you about. Before that, I'm just going to ask people that are watching if they're enjoying, want to show their love to Frank and to ourselves. You can give a like and also hit that subscribe button there. In the comments, this is the one that I told you about. So Jesse, is it possible to bundle school sports marketing properties together to try to get sponsorship for schools? He's trying to generate the sports program. Is there any advice that you could give to someone in his position?
Well, I think yes. I think that there is, you see many more opportunities also for the, let's say, long tail sports properties to be broadcast, to be offered. You see the cost of production. We have a lot of automated production. Actually, with FIBA, we have a project which is called FIBA Connected Stadium, which is unmanned cameras in arena. So to get a long story short, yes, I think if you can, make a school offering, even if it is on YouTube where we are now, for all sports events, and on the back of that, also offer some communication rights to companies, then you can. And I can imagine that there are companies that are interested to talk with, communicate with the generation of tomorrow, which are the students or their parents.
Yeah, 100%. More questions then coming from the audience. So I'm going to try to hit a few of those. Nikel Moore, she's a good friend. She was interviewed here in the first season. Is interested to know about if you can share if and or how FIBA can benefit commercial from the Basketball Africa League. If you want to give a bit of context.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, thank you, Nikel, for the question. I mean, the Basketball Africa League, or BAL as we call it in the house, is a partnership between FIBA Africa, and the NBA. So the NBA, many people always ask, the NBA must be your competitor and whatever. No, the NBA is a partner. The NBA Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum is on the FIBA board. Of course, NBA is not a member of FIBA. That's USA Basketball as a federation. But this is a great example where the forces come together, and on this specific project, the FIBA Africa office in Abidjan works very closely with the team of the NBA. The NBA in Africa is responsible for the operations and the commercialization. So as FIBA, in principle, we don't sell that. Of course, we will coordinate, but that's their role. And it's quite impressive to see the resources that the NBA puts into that project also, because they really believe in the long-term potential of the African continent from a business point of view, but also from the athlete's point of view, of course.
Yeah, maybe to continue a little more on that, there's a lot of interest from people about the relationship of FIBA and the NBA, how you benefit from that, how you learn from them. So I imagine that they can also learn some things from you too. But so you do have a partnership. You already mentioned that, but maybe you can explain even a little more to Kaushik. He is. I don't know where he's at the moment, but
okay. No, as I said before, the relationship is very strong. The NBA, of course, also has the same interest as FIBA in growing basketball globally. I mean, they are the market leader in that sport. So the relation, we do a lot of things together. The Basketball Africa League is one. There's also Basketball Without Borders. There's a lot of other basketball properties. Commercially, we are separate. We talk with the NBA regularly. As you say, Joao, I mean, we can. I find the American model fascinating, and it is because we come really from the Western European model, also the Champions League model, so to say. And where a principle is often is less is more, and you come to the American way, where often is more, and you're never sold out, and you have another matrix of rights, and I find it fascinating to see, and we can learn from that. And I think sometimes also for them it's interesting to see what's happening with, let's say, the models in Europe. So we don't sell rights in a packaged way. We work together. Actually, we, for instance, also work now together on activities like esports, where we had a call last night with them. The NBA 2K game is, of course, the standard in e-basketball. We work with them, and we have the same common goal. We want to make basketball the most popular sports community in the world, and that is absolutely the same ambition.
Right. We're just getting to the hour mark, so maybe if we can stay a few more minutes, because there's questions coming. So continuing in a way about the relationship with the NBA, now talking about Tokyo. Well, I think there's a lot of uncertainty, but Marko Kostic from Belgrade.
I know Marko. I hope he's not setting me up for a difficult question, Matt.
That's not easy. Although, I mean, there's not that much information there. So he would like to know if how would you handle if the NBA season overlaps with Tokyo? Are you already talking about it, or?
Yeah, I mean,
I think it would be great if there is Tokyo 2020 next year.
Of course. I mean, I think for the world of sports and all our federations, I think the Olympics are, of course, incredibly important, and we hope that will not be affected. So that is a good point, actually, Joao. I mean, that is the case. When it comes to who will be there. And Marco is a basketball man, and he's not only a basketball man, he's in the heart of it in Belgrade. And the Serbians, of course, know more about basketball than most other countries. So it is, of course, at the moment an uncertainty what is happening with the NBA the next season. And they just come out of the bubble. You mentioned that, and they are now having a conversation about next season. And we are on the 22nd of October. The question is, when can that start and when can that finish? And these are exceptional circumstances, also for the NBA. And I'm sure or I know they have conversations between their owners and all their partners and the players association to find a solution. And I think we all hope, including the players, of course, very much, that these athletes can have the opportunity to represent their country and show their flag also in Tokyo. So too early to tell, but let's keep our fingers crossed for that.
There's another interesting question here from Jaume Campistol. Work at the ITF, Grand Slam chair umpire at the moment. Technology and TV are changing our way of officiating. So I think he's asking to draw a comparison of how are TV and media affecting basketball as a sport.
Well, in our top
VAR.
in our top competitions, of course, we also have the video review. I must say, and this is really as a consumer and as a fan, and not as a representative for FIBA, I have to be careful. I fear sometimes for the fact that technology can take some of the spontaneous elements out of the experience. I was watching some Champions League football games last night with some friends, and you have to cheer twice, as a fan. One, if the goal is made, and then if the video referee approves it. And very often you have this cold shower moment that you cheer, and then 3 minutes later, you realize that it didn't happen. And there we can also spend days on that, the balance, and I'm sure people are spending months on it. But I think to come back for officiating, there are a lot of positive elements for sure as well. But the flow, it should be careful not to take too much of the flow out of the sport.
All right. Listen, Frank, we've been here for past 1 hour. It went really, really fast, and there's several sort of other comments here. But Mazi Henry said it was an awesome interview. So written from Paris. Rijul Sharda, don't know exactly where he is, but also saying that was very informative. I agree. There's many other comments thanking us for that. Just going to say sort of. So there's Tong Yu, Michele, Tiozzo, there's several others. So I'd like to thank everyone.
We haven't even talked about other sports like cricket in Europe and so on. So we can do that. We do that another time.
No. So now you come on. You raised that ball. Now we're going to mention about cricket, because this is another thing that you're involved in. You've been in football for a long time. Been working with basketball for a long time, but you're also involved in cricket. And I didn't know that there was cricket in the Netherlands, so I was actually surprised when I saw your involvement. So now that you brought that up, maybe before we go, why don't you explain to people why we're talking about that? Give that like people that are watching.
The European
Cricket League. How that came about?
No, I will make it very short, because that is more, let's say, you can say a personal project. It is supporting an incredible Australian entrepreneur Daniel Weston, who's based in Munich, who came to me and to us indirectly a few years ago with the cricket project. And the funny thing, that to the person that brought the project, which is a common friend, Roger Feiner, when he came with the cricket project because he saw cricket on ice in St. Moritz or whatever, at that point, my reaction to him was, said, listen, Roger, in my youth in Holland, so 30 years ago, coincidentally, in addition to the field hockey club, which was around the corner, I played cricket. I love cricket. And that's why I'm not interested, I told him, because I think cricket in continental Europe is too much of a niche. And actually, then when we had the conversation with Danny Weston, who came to Zurich to explain it, the interesting thing was that my colleague and business partner from Lucerne, Thomas Clothes, he was more excited than me about it. And I'd also seen that the world of cricket has moved on with short form content, with a lot of migration of players through Europe, and the digital play. So to come back to that, now this year he was notwithstanding COVID, they have been super agile, and they will play and broadcast something like 1,000 games over something like 40 weeks during the weekdays, and it's amazing to see that you can be very agile, and with the current way of producing and the broadcast platform, how you can create a platform. And he has more than 140,000 subscribers on YouTube. There's a big following in India. We are there on fan code Dream 11 and so on. And as I say, this is more for me to support Roger and Danny, who's the.
And what's your role exactly then? How are you involved?
Oh, we helped him. I mean, we have established the company. We are on the board, and we provide our network and contacts, and also when it was the round of financing this initially to get it off the ground. But it is an amazing story actually, and I'm very fond.
And I have to say that generated a number of other comments here, Frank. So, Cal Schick already came and corrected me and say, of course, Netherlands has a cricket team. They played in the World Cup too. So pardon my ignorance. This is one of the great things about doing the show. I learn a lot doing that as well, not only with the guests, but with the people commenting. And,
you should know, I mean, if you have 2 minutes, in the world of cricket, you have like 10 countries which are playing the World Cup. And so this is the Indias, the Pakistans, the Englands, the South Africas, the Australias of this world. Holland is a little bit hanging just underneath that with a few other countries. There's professional players, but also across Europe in the other countries you have a lot of players. So basically, what we played last year with the European Cricket League, so the ECL, is the Champions League of cricket. So it was the champion of Holland, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, Denmark, Russia, Romania. And now it is 16 teams, and it includes England, Ireland, Scotland, so the continent. But on top of that, there are series play, and this is played in La Manga in Spain, nicely in the sun. So Joao, next year, when COVID permits, you have to come and experience a new sport, even on the European continent.
I will gladly go. I will gladly go. In fact, in Brazil, there is a very popular version of street cricket we call taco in some parts of the country, which I taught to my friends at the Masters. Many of them loved it. Wanted to create an international federation of taco. But anyway, Frank, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. So let me just say thanks again to everyone that participated. So I'm just reading the names here. So Nikhil, Devin, Mamé, Paulo, very special audience in Brazil. Riju, Jaume, we had people from Tehran as well. So here's some other countries that popped up here all over. So it's been great. Just before we go, I'm going to remind everyone, if you stay there 1 second, Frank, don't go anywhere. Just going to remind everyone that in the next 10 days, well, starting on the 10th to the 12th, I'm going to have a free digital event. So anyone that is interested in education, in sport, should attend. So there's a link in the description there. So tell your friends as well. It would be great if you go to that. Next week, we're going to have pretty much a whole week about that. So on Monday, we're going to talk to a representative of the Johan Cruyff Institute. On Tuesday, it's going to be of the ESBS or ESBS in Spain. The representative from Oregon University of Oregon, Bettina Cornwell, who was actually a guest from a previous interview, couldn't be there last week. So we're going to do that interview with her in the same week because Oregon will going to be at the event as well. And then we're going to close with the FIFA Masters on Thursday next week. So we're going to be a full one. If you have interest in any of these courses, come watch, tell your friends that might be interested as well. And there's actually many other courses that will be at the digital event, but there will be a selected few having this live. So I'm going to say bye to everyone. Actually, let me just see a few other comments that came in. You can still sort of leave your like. Who else is there? Ricardo Arantes, hi, Riju again. Everybody's saying that they love it. Oh, Ricardo knows taco, so I'm not lying. And yes, that's it. I'm gonna say bye to everyone. Frank, thank you so much, and thanks everyone for watching and participating. I think for me, what makes this very special, not only the guest, that is obviously super cool, but the participation, the interaction, and I find that I also learn from them all the time. So this has been great. Thank you.
Thank you, Joao, for the invitation, and thank you all for viewing and listening.